Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Yes, this is kind of an urgent message, at least in the sense if you haven't been watching the news at all for the last, I don't know, 5-6 hours, something like that, then you probably should get a little bit of update. I am not going to do the typical, here's a bunch of stuff over here in the screen to show you what's going on, because there's just too much. There's absolutely too much. It's changing on a minute-by-minute basis. And I just can't even keep up. I haven't been setting for no 5 or 6 hours. It's a few minutes here and there. But I'm telling you, things are taking a drastic left turn downhill, falling off the cliff over the Middle East. This morning, this afternoon, earlier today, probably, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours ago, something like that, a Baptist-run hospital in Gaza, in the Gaza Strip, was struck and exploded, and the last I saw, potentially 800 people have been killed, maybe more, maybe 1,000. It was horrific, okay? Aid workers, children, hospital workers, all of that killed. Immediately, it was claimed that Israel had struck this hospital, that they dropped a bomb, they sent a rocket, a missile, whatever it was, and struck this hospital. And so immediately, there was this huge outcry that Israel had done a horrible thing. Now, an hour or two later, or almost immediately, whatever, the timeline almost isn't relevant at this point. Israel came back and said, no, that's not true. It was a Hamas rocket that they launched, and you know, those are homemade rockets that they make. They're not produced by Halliburton or anything like that. This rocket went up and it curved back around and it hit the hospital and exploded. There's actually some video, what appears to be that happening. I'm not here to debate who did this. That's not even the point at this point. I know that there's this back and forth online. Well, you know, can one of their cheap homemade rockets do this much damage? Well, maybe it was a fuel depot. Maybe it was other munitions that it struck. I don't know. And at this point, who's to blame? Who knows? I mean, it could be a third party that's gone in and done this to create a Gulf of Tonkin event to cause this to fall off the cliff and be something bigger. And that's exactly what it's becoming if things don't slow down. There are massive protests in the last few hours in many, many countries, especially in the Middle East, but even in this country. Hezbollah this time is calling for a day of rage jihad. In retaliation to this, most of the Muslim world that was kind of trying to be diplomatic has now said, too bad, Israel, we're not being diplomatic anymore. Russia and some other country is calling for a UN Emergency Security Council meeting. Everything is moving really, really, really fast. I've seen reports that the USS Gerald Ford has been ordered to move closer to Israel, which is just setting that thing up to be a big target as far as I can tell. A lot of things are happening. And again, I'm not going to get on here and try to argue who did it and what happened and who's at fault, because at this point, it's so early on, we don't know. It would seem crazy that Israel would do this on purpose. Could it have been an accident? Could Hamas have done this on purpose? Could have done an accident? I don't know. Could there be a third party, like I said, that's trying to cause something bigger to happen? Some kind of globalist entity that's just wanting the world to be in a big old war. So they do this because as kind of a, you know, like I said, a Gulf of Tonkin event to get things going. I don't know. And again, I'm not here to debate that. What I'm here to tell you is that things right now are very, very shaky on the Middle East. We've got Biden supposedly going to Israel tomorrow. Jordan's president was going to meet with Biden, and they're canceling it. There's all this kind of, it's just rapid pace. Every few minutes, some kind of new update or something's happening. There's massive protests, like I said, at Israeli embassies. They're trying to attack Israeli embassies in different countries. All kinds of stuff that's happened. I mean, it's absolutely chaotic. And I'm not saying this to get you all hyped up and like, oh my gosh, it's World War III has happened. It's the apocalypse. No, but I think that we are on the verge of something really, really bad getting really, really worse. And we should probably brace ourselves. I know we did a day of jihad last week and nothing happened. And I'm not saying whenever this day of jihad that they're talking about now, it's going to be something that happens. But there is certainly, after this incident, way much more anger and rage whether it's rightfully so or misplaced or misguided or whatever. It doesn't matter. Both sides are in an absolute state of rage right now. And this is not in a good place. We could see something pop off really quick. We already announced this morning that we're sending troops into the area on the ground. Biden is saying now that he's wanting to try to get a $100 billion aid package to split between Israel and Ukraine. More of everything is being sent over there. This happens. The Middle East, that was already against Israel, is really beating the drums of saying that they're ready to just go in and stomp them in the ground. There's more and more troops being rushed to the Israeli border from Syria and Lebanon. Iran is becoming more and more activated. And then the Muslim world, the Middle Eastern part of the world that's trying to be diplomatic, you know, Saudi Arabia and Qatar and all these other countries are really, really upset at this also. Take a breath. Maybe I need to also. But the point is that things aren't looking good, and we should be gearing up for this, folks. If something happens in the next 24, 48 hours, especially if something happens in the United States, but even if something really big happens overseas, we could see a panic happen here in the United States. We're already seeing, I've been telling you for a couple of days, of the ammunition that's drying up. You know, rifle ammunition, 5.56 is very, very hard to find. The prices have already gone up, and it's just longer and longer. Most places are saying now that it's a 10-day, 2-week turnaround time to get things processed. I talked to a company just this morning, and they said that over the weekend, the amount of orders that they receive, because they're only processing orders Monday through Friday, right? You know, a lot of these companies you can order online, but they're not processing them to Monday through Friday. And he said when they showed up Monday, the amount of orders that they had received over the weekend was just blowing them away. They said it'll take days, several days this week to just try to get caught up on the weekend orders, and that's not even including the orders that's coming in starting from Monday. You better take things serious. It doesn't mean that the world is necessarily ending, folks. It doesn't mean, it's not a guarantee that World War III will start. But I'm telling you, the way the tide is turning, it is starting to look quite biblical right now. And if you aren't gathering your people, figuring out your plan for certain, whatever it is that you plan on doing, you better make sure it's nailed down and solid. If you don't have all the things that you need, you should probably go get that. If you're planning on making a quick evac or everything, you better make sure that plan is ready and know exactly when in your mind that you're going to put it into action. Whatever it is, you better be doing it quickly, because things are starting to look really bad. And again, there's no guarantee it'll happen, but I would say, at least in the last 3 or 4 years, I don't know that we've been quite closer than right now to a point of things really just kind of falling apart. And I know a lot of you are saying, yeah, but this is the Middle East, this isn't here. It will directly affect us, because there's no place on this entire planet that brings about more emotions with everyone than right there in Israel. And the possibility of that emotions pouring over into the United States and causing some kind of violence or some kind of terrorist attack or some type of something is becoming more and more real. So you need to be taking it very serious, being cautious, being aware of your surroundings, keep your head on a swivel, watch your six, get stocked up, keep locked and loaded, make sure you're carrying, to go to places that you probably shouldn't be going, that may be a little bit shady. All of these things, because it's not looking good. And I know I've really skimmed the surface of it. I'm sure there'll be other YouTubers that'll come out and they'll go into great detail. But my point is that bad things are happening and they're getting substantially worse. And until someone steps in and says, hold up, put the brakes on, let's figure this out. Let's not make any sudden moves. Let's figure out what really happened, who's really at fault. But typically when these kind of things happen, no one's thinking that way. They're just I'm going to retaliate. I'm going to retaliate. Well, I'm going to retaliate against you. Well, yeah, well, I'm going to retaliate against you. It's like an elementary school, playground where a fight's beginning. No one's really standing there saying, now hold up, guys. Let's just figure out who's really at fault before we start throwing fists around. No one's doing that right now, and it's unlikely that's going to happen. And it's quite possible that the real fists could start being thrown before you know it. And then when that happens, America is involved. We've already said it. We said it today or yesterday, that if people like Lebanon and Iran and all those, if they actually make a direct attack into Israel, then we will be there. We will have our boots on the ground protecting them. So right there, America's involved. Folks, you need to be getting your houses in order and taking this seriously. I don't know what to tell you. There's no reason to be afraid. Don't panic and don't be in fear. Just be prepared. Be preparing mentally, physically, and spiritually. Because at some point, and it could be very soon, you're going to need all of that preparedness. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.